Hi, I'm Sunil Christian with Dementia Friendly Indiana, and I'm speaking to Holly Hess of Dementia Friendly Indianapolis. How are you doing today, Holly?
I'm great. How are you, Sunil?
I'm doing all right. So, just wanted to ask you some questions about how this whole process has been for you. I know that you're in the middle of your kickoff event planning, and you have a big event coming up, and Dementia Friendly Indianapolis is finally getting the ball rolling after some time coming to fruition.
hmm
Uh, Just wanted to ask you first, what are some challenges that you faced in playing this kickoff event?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that was kind of hard to wrap our brains about is all the things we need to think about. That dementia friendly America toolkit, it doesn't tell you exactly how to plan the kickoff event, what things you need to consider and think about or have plans. There's no like set instructions for planning this kickoff event. So we kind of made our own event checkoff list where literally we just kind of brain dumped everything we thought we needed to include in this kickoff event. And that kind of has kept us organized and on track. So I think that was the first kind of big challenge. Second challenge was just finding that perfect venue and estimating the community buy-in. So at first, we weren't really sure how many people would be interested in coming to this event or where would be kind of a good place to do it. So at first, we had a space in the library booked, but it only could hold about 50 people, we thought, and we were trying to have about 100. So we kind of scratched that and ended up, we're not going to host the event at Socoa in our own kind of conference room, but estimating that community buy-in, I was figuring I was going to be pulling kind of teeth to get people to be involved and interested in this initiative, but I was completely wrong. We had over 160 people sign up. I had to tell companies to bring less representatives because there was just so much buy-in. So that was like a challenge that ended up really working in our favor. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of where I'll end with those big challenges was just finding that perfect venue, finding out, who do we want to come, who do we invite, will people want to come, and just kind of making sure we checked off everything that we needed to do for that kickoff event.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Indianapolis is a uniquely large place for Indiana, but it is nice to see that so many people were excited.
Yeah.
With all those people that were excited, how did you build those relationships, and how did you make sure that you had the proper help and support network to plan this big event?
Yeah, so definitely made a ton of relationships with planning this kickoff event. I'll start with our action team that we set up in the first phase of kind of setting up this dementia friendly Indianapolis community. So, from the action team alone, we had a ton of buy in and willingness to help. I mean, they are on it. They have so many opinions about what's going on, which is makes my job a lot easier. And Mindy, my preceptor, she spoke with like the Marion County Council on Aging, came to one of their meetings and kind of promoted the event and asked if anyone wanted to sponsor. We got a ton of interest from that, and that's how we obtained our sponsorship for the event. Blindly kind of reaching out to organizations that we didn't have warm connections with wasn't very successful. Just sending out that random email really doesn't work. But using kind of the action team and the warm connections that they already had, build that capacity quick, like I already mentioned. And to maintain those relationships that we have those monthly action team meetings to make sure everyone's on track and everyone who has a role in the kickoff event has had a one-on-one with Mindy and I to just ensure that they know what they're supposed to be doing and that they're ready for the kickoff event as well.
Yeah, so when planning a big event like this, I imagine there's lots of challenges, but I also imagine that a lot of things might have seemed really daunting at first, but when you really got into it, it wasn't that hard. And I just wanted to uplift people's spirits and make them feel like they could do it. So what are certain things that you felt like were really challenging, but when you actually got into the weeds of things, you would realize that you were totally capable of doing it?
Yeah, so I've already hit on all the things that I'm going to mention here, but attendance was the first thing that I thought was going to be a huge challenge. Mindy and I had plans to go in person and personally invite all these businesses and force our action team to like list out who they've invited and really keep track on that. But again, we did not have to. A month out from the event, we were fully at capacity and over it. So definitely didn't have to worry about the attendance because again, we had so much buy-in from the community, and I'm sure that's not going to be the same for every dementia friendly community that comes around, but um, definitely something we didn't have to worry about. So that was nice. The sponsorship was another thing we were kind of concerned because we didn't really think about it till a month or two out from the event. So another piece of advice is to think about your sponsorships beforehand, but again, getting that buy-in from the action team. Mindy spoke with the Mayor and Council on Aging. That got us that sponsorship really easily. So that wasn't something I had to worry about. And then the last thing is just how amazing our action team was with volunteering to help us clean up and just volunteering to speak at the event. Everyone was just super willing to help. And I kind of felt like I was going to have to, again, pull some teeth to get some, participation in the event, but I've not had to do that at all. So those things were definitely not challenges, but I thought they were going to be.
Yeah. And so, with the challenges you face, though, how did you make decisions in order to make this event like as big and as lively as possible, but without making things too unachievable or too unrealistic?
Yeah, so I'll go back to where we started with that event checkoff list that we made kind of in the beginning to make sure, everything that we wanted to include would be included, and how we needed to get to those things to make them complete was on that list. But then we kind of whittled out the non-important factors once we began planning the important chunks of the event. Like, for example, we were going to have Pause and Think come, which is like a, pet rescue organization, and some other things that kind of just felt less important for the kickoff event compared to like making sure the program was set and making sure, we have the catering set. So we kind of whittled out those non-important things that we didn't think needed to be at the event, that weren't necessary. And again, we started planning very early on. January was when we really started planning this event. And I would say at the beginning, we kind of were slow with kind of completing things. We had to get that venue booked. We had to make sure we had a date that worked for everyone. So definitely planning that very on helped. And again, we had a ton of help from the action team. They were involved in all of our decisions. Mindy and I we would meet first with our one-on-one, kind of decide what we wanted to propose to the action team if there was a decision to be made. And then at our action team meeting, we would discuss it with them. And with most things, they were very supported on, but they also gave a lot of, criticisms and kind of constructive feedback that I didn't think about. For example, like one of our action team members was reviewing our program schedule, and he was like, are we going to have a break? Like, people are going to need a break in this schedule. It's a long program. And I was like, you're totally right. And I didn't even think about it. And I wouldn't have thought about it if you hadn't brought it up. So just using all those connections and the team that we have has helped me kind of make those strategic decisions and made sure everyone was on board with what was going on.
Well, I think that's about all I got for you today. And thank you for all your insights and all the work you've been doing for Dementia Friendly Indiana.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Uh, Hi, I'm here with Sue Lamborn. I'm Sunil Christian, and we're here to talk about Dementia Friendly Indiana. Sue Lamborn is our Dementia Friendly Columbus lead. She is also the leader of Dementia Friends Indiana. How are you doing today, Sue?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
So, Sue, I know that you're in the application process and you recently just got approved. I'm wondering how that whole process began and how you felt it went successfully and what challenges you may have had.
Well, this project actually began about 18 months ago, where I had a meeting with Amanda regarding Columbus becoming recognized as a dementia-friendly city, and also Bartholomew County as a whole to be recognized as a dementia-friendly community. We had some difficulty getting started, I believe because of COVID, and all the barriers that had with meeting face to face and getting key partners on board for forming an action team. We did have an action team set forth in like 2021, but it was put on hold, and then we reactivated the action team in the summer of 2022. And how we were able to do that is that I met with key leaders in the community, and there were three of them. One was somebody from city government, the city of Columbus. Another person was a caregiver. And then I also met with the outreach coordinator of Bartholomew County. And during that meeting, we were assigned people that we thought should be on the committee. And we utilized the Dementia Friendly America website to look at those key people And we were all given assignments to reach out to those people to ask them to be on the action committee.
Yeah, so I guess I'm curious to follow that up. What best practices you felt did you take on in reaching out to community partners?
I think scheduling a face-to-face meeting is very important, bringing some enthusiasm to this initiative and letting them know why this is important to this community. And having those key messages in hand when you walked into the meeting, you know, the primary person that you were meeting with. Just to talk about what is this initiative and why is it important? What are the key components and why is it important that Bartholomew County take on a role of being recognized as a dementia-friendly community?
So, in reflecting on this whole application process has gone for you, and I'm sure you're likely planning a kickoff event right now. Um,
Correct.
how might you suggest aspiring liaison to look at and what kind of attitude they might bring to the table in trying to take on this task?
For us, there was so much energy that we put into Dementia Friends Indiana, um, that you know, I was able to pull some key stakeholders from that movement and pull them into a different movement that was the same but not quite the same, because Dementia Friends Indiana is about stigma. Dementia Friends Communities is about taking the the practices that you learn from Dementia Friendly America and creating them into your community and implementing them into your community. And having some key examples on what is dementia friendly and what is not dementia friendly. And also having a understanding of the statistics and this community about people living with dementia that are living alone and living with a care partner, and the importance of them not being isolated and the importance of them being included, and all the aspects of any activity, any business and in the area. And you know, you can take that certainly further and say that that should be applied throughout the nation. Columbus is a very inclusive community. They want people to feel included. They want to make people feel comfortable. So those are some key things that we would talk about with our stakeholders.
Well, thank you for all that insightful information, Sue.